Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, as you can probably tell by the title and what's in front of you, I'm going to be giving you an overall summary of Flux, the latest series that has aired. And it was an interesting series to say the least. I'm still kind of letting it all sink in really, but I think I've gathered my basic thoughts on it. So what I'm going to do, instead of doing a sort of episode ranking, which you can probably judge by how I describe the episodes, I'm going to be going through chapter by chapter, just telling you my overall thoughts on them, what I thought, because it was a very up and down series for me, which was interesting. So without further ado, let's begin with episode 1, which was the Halloween apocalypse. Now, I was pretty excited for this, I've got to admit. I had met John Bishop about 2 days before the episode went out, so I was still quite excited. It was a new series, we haven't had Doctor Who for quite some time, and although, you know, I'm not really enjoying the era, or I didn't really enjoy series 11 and 12, I was hopeful. But this episode packed a lot into 50 minutes. Already we saw the problem that it had way too many plot threads, especially for this first episode. It just felt very, very convoluted. But there were some, advantages. There were some good things about this episode. It had a great pre-title sequence just before it went downhill. I think the stuff with the Doctor and Yaz was entertaining enough, with the sort of release, that was good. The Carvanista scenes were good as well. I think he's a strong character throughout the series, one of my favourites probably. I'd like to see a spin-off with him actually, that would be good. And we were introduced to Dan even, and he's a great companion, I think. He's probably only going to be in this series and the 3 specials, but I think he's solid, and he was definitely a standout throughout the entire series for me. And he started off well. Obviously there are problems further down the line, but I think he's pretty strong. He's a breath of fresh air, a bit like Bill. But overall this episode was a little bit hard to follow at some points, but hey ho, I'll forgive it. I was hopeful. And then episode 2 rolled around the corner, War of the Sontarans. I was very excited to see the Sontarans return. I think we were all very waiting in anticipation for this episode, because it had a lot to, there's a lot of pressure, wasn't there? And I'm pleased to say I believe this was the best of the 6 chapters. It was pretty enjoyable. It had some good sequences. The Sontarans were very good. Chibnall actually did them justice, which was very, very lucky, because otherwise that would have been a bit of a flop. I do feel like the cliffhanger from Halloween Apocalypse was resolved a little bit easily, considering how drastic that was, and I'm not sure if I've missed something. Feel free to let me know if I have. But I just felt they were suddenly in the Crimean War. Why was this? Like, that's a bit random, but I don't know, I might be missing something there. The scenes with Mary Seacole were alright. I feel like as a character she was kind of underused and not really necessary to the plot. Obviously she helped the plot, continue and develop, but I don't know, I'd have personally done something else. But I felt that the subplot with Yaz and Vinda sort of let it down quite a bit. I found those scenes to be very boring, with sort of Swarm and Azure, and I was just more focused on the Sontaran stuff personally, so that's a bit of a shame. But obviously it had to happen to let episode 3 occur. But it was a good episode, my favourite of the 6, but that still doesn't mean it was amazing, which you can probably sort of guess the rest of this episode review. And then episode 3 rolled around the corner. Now, I said it as soon as the episode went out, and I'm going to say it again. I still think this is one of the worst Doctor Who episodes in the show's history. I really, really didn't like it. I thought it was absolutely abysmal. It made me want to fall asleep every second. I wasn't even paying much attention to it. I didn't care for any of the characters. I didn't understand what was going on. And if I was a casual viewer, I would be thinking, what the hell is going on? And I think that, that statement is valid for the rest of the series as a whole. It was very hard to follow. and I just don't remember much about it, and nothing was very good personally. And the cliffhanger at the end felt quite abrupt and sudden and out of place. With it just sort of needed to lead on to the next story, which was a bit of a setup there, but it was alright. So let's continue with episode 4. Um, it's a step up, I'd say, definitely, from episode 3. I mean, anything is probably a step up from episode 3, in my opinion. The Weeping... Oh, dropped my pen. The Weeping Angels were very good, I'd say. It was an enjoyable romp. I'm glad they went back to the 60s. It was a very good setting, and it was, on the whole, decent. I did feel like there was some lazy writing in some of the parts, but, that's nothing, you can't really joke on about that for too long. Jericho, Eustachius Jericho, was a good character. Again, one of the highlights of the series for me. Bit of a shame that he got killed off at the end, spoilers. But it was good. In this episode, I sort of noticed the plot holes were beginning to show a little bit, which was a bit of a unfortunate situation. But when you have all these plot threads, it was kind of bound to happen, and I think Chibnall really did try to pack too much into this 6-part adventure. And the sort of being at the edge of space on that village was a little bit odd, but again, maybe I missed something, maybe there was a very logical reason, but I shouldn't really be having to miss stuff, and that just sort of reflects how the series is going, really. But on the whole, it was a good episode. Again, the subplot with that, I forgot her name, Belle, is it? And some other guy on this planet, that was a bit random. Again, probably missed something there. Moving on to episode 5, this was clearly quite a setup for the finale. I think the best scenes in Survivors of the Flux were the scenes with the companions on the, travelling around the world. That was good. There was a sort of James Bond moment where they killed someone and they threw his body overboard, which was a little bit weird, but it was enjoyable, I'd say. The hermit man at the top of the hill was a little bit odd, but I just can't tell if he was funny or just cringy. Was he really needed? No. Was he some comic relief? Yes. I guess that was cool. Kate Stewart was also back in this episode. She didn't do much. She was on screen for a minute. I think I'll mention it when I talk about episode 6, but I don't think she was really needed in this series at all, to be honest. I don't really see the relevance. The Ood also returned in this episode, and that they were nice to see back. I say they, it was just one Ood, wasn't it? But hey, the Ood is still kicking about, which is good, we think. And then Tecteun was also revealed to be in this episode. Kind of predictable. I know we saw her character previously in episode 3, but like I said, episode 3 just went past me, so again, that was a bit of a problem. But yeah, it was alright, episode 5, but it was just a little bit, it happened really, and it's just sort of there. And then finally we have episode 6, The Vanquishers, and I will say this, I didn't enjoy the finale, unfortunately. It kind of just sums up the entire series as a whole, to be honest. The plot was just so convoluted again, and to wrap up all this stuff in an hour is difficult and close to impossible, I'd say, or to wrap it up satisfyingly was impossible. The plot holes were also very significant in this episode. I mean, is the universe still being destroyed then? Has it been, was that fixed? Probably not. I don't know, I just didn't end this episode with a very satisfying feeling, to be honest. I think it was all very too fast paced. Like I said, a lazy resolution, and it was even boring in some places, considering how action packed it was. It was boring. I did just want to check my phone and do something else. And then the ending came, and they were back on Earth, and then that character of Di, with the one arm, she suddenly went off Dan, which was a little bit odd, but I guess that was used to move the plot along, but I just didn't see it coming, considering she was hugging him about 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't really understand that either. That wasn't explained properly, and the ending of the Doctor putting that watch thing into the TARDIS was like, oh, so after 6 episodes we're just gonna literally bin it. Alright, but nice to know it's there, I guess. But yeah, it was generally quite a poor episode, I'd say. So there you are. Overall, this series was interesting. Like I said, too many plot threads. It was hard to follow at times. The Doctor, I haven't really mentioned Jodie as a whole yet, but she was still quite cringy and annoying and just whiny, and after the Timeless Child, I was expecting her to go down a bit of a darker route, and she just didn't, so that annoyed me a little bit. So please improve in the final 3 episodes, although I am doubtful, and even if she does, it's going to be, a bit late, but hey, better late than never. But on the whole, Dan was a good character, like I said. Carvanista was good and Jericho were good. There were some decent elements, but they were never properly fulfilled or fleshed out. But I think for the casual viewer, this series would have been very tough going. I mean, it was tough going for me, let alone someone watching casually. And it's a shame that Doctor Who is no longer this programme that people just put on in the background. I don't know if that's just me, but those are my feelings on Flux. So thank you very much for watching this video. Do leave a comment in the comment section about your thoughts, because I'm really intrigued, because I know it really is very controversial and a divisive series, but again, not one of the strongest series, in fact one of the worst, I'd say. I do not like being negative, but I'm just voicing my honest opinion here. But the New Year's Day special looks alright, I guess, a bit naff. Daleks again, really, but hey-ho, we'll see. I might do a review on that, I might not. But there we go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be. Bye for now.